What's up, homies? This is Doug, and for today's video, I want to talk about standard rotation. Now, standard rotation is not coming soon, but it is on the horizon. And with it being in sight, I want to take a moment to vent my frustration about some cards that have annoyed me this rotation of standard. Let's start the list off with Elite Spellbinder. For 2 colorless and a plains, you get a 3/1 flying creature, which for stats, it's pretty decent. But the reason this card is on the list is because when it enters the battlefield, you look at target opponent's hand. Exile a non-land card. This includes instants and sorceries that are not on the stack. It then exiles it and makes it playable from exile for 2 more mana. In other words, making a card in your opponent's hand costs 2 more mana. And no, not for as long as he's on the field, until that card is casted. So if you have copies, it doesn't take the copies, it just takes that one card. And once you cast it in the graveyard, if you have a way to cast it again, it's for its original mana cost. So you get the added benefit of looking at your opponent's hand, exiling a non-land card, which is anything in their hand, and then increasing its mana cost by 2, which in mono white weenies, you just take the board wipe and you just save yourself technically two turns. Until that card is casted, make an Elite Spellbinder a beautiful enter the battlefield effect that can then be chump blocked as he does, or attack for 3 damage with flying, and he doesn't even need to stay on board for his effect to be active. Esika's Chariot. How this card was mythic, I'll never know. But for 3 colorless and a forest, you get a 4/4 vehicle and with crew 4. That's okay. But you also get to create 2 2/2 cat creature tokens. That's also good. But on top of that, you get the ability of Esika's Chariot to copy a token you control when it attacks. Because who would play this card if it didn't have this effect? How did this card get printed again? I'll never know. Sure, it's not meta breaking like Oko, but OP cards don't have to be meta defining, meta breaking, or game warping to be broken. Also notice how I said token. Obnixilis, Jace, the one that's in Zendikar Rising, I think it's in Zendikar Rising. Enchantments, artifacts that are tokens also get copied too, because it doesn't specify, so anything's target. Goldspan Dragon. Do I need to explain why this creature is broken? It's not the 5 converted mana cost 4/4 creature dragon with flying and haste that's the problem, it's both of its effects. And the fact that it is not legendary, so you can have 2 of these bad little boys on board or more, is also a little bit of a hindrance to how good it is. When it is targeted by a spell, meaning if you want to remove it without your opponent getting treasures by an enchantment ability, you're going to have to do it on your turn, or it attacks, so whenever it gets targeted or attacks, you create a treasure token. Not bad, except it's paired with a second effect. Your treasure is sacrificed for 2 mana. It is 2 mana of any one color, but you still get 2 mana for free, which means this red creature ramps your treasures for double the mana. The treasures come in untapped, and if your opponent would cast, let's say, a Vanishing Verse, you get to create a token on the stack, meaning it gives you 2 free mana to let you respond to that with a counter or a removal like Deadly Dispute to give you more benefits. So, once again, Ranger class. On turn 2, you get a 2/2 wolf for a colorless and a forest. Pretty good. Even if you don't get a land drop, you can pay the level 2 for 2 mana. Whenever you attack with a creature, put a +1/+1 counter on attacking creature. This effect is once per turn, although it is not a legendary, so you can stack multiples of it. But it can also go on any creature and more than once on any creature. So when your opponent goes turn 2 Ranger class, turn 3 level 2, whatever creature you have is now losing the trade to a 3/3 token if you even had a creature on board to begin with. And at the time it was printed, it wasn't easy getting rid of both the creature and the enchantment, which still has another level on it. The level 3 on this card is on par with how the deck plays. If you commit too much to the board, you can still come back by playing creatures on top of your deck. Like, why bother making your opponent learn about consequences when they commit too much to the board, when they can just do it all over again, but this time from the top of their deck? These cards weren't in ranked by order, but just know that this is the number 1 card I hate the most. Skyclave Apparition. This card is the bane to my existence, and I don't care for the 3 converted mana cost that you get a 2/2. But the main reason I despise this card is when it enters the battlefield, you exile a non-land permanent. Once again, non-land permanent. When Skyclave leaves the field, opponent gets a token creature with a base power and toughness of the card's converted mana cost. So this creature can take enchantments, planeswalkers, artifacts, creatures, and not give it back. I'm kind of surprised it doesn't let you take instants and sorceries at this point, but I guess we're lucky it didn't get that. And the trade-off isn't even that good. For you, your opponent benefits everything. Chariot gives you a creature token in return, but in the same set, it came in with Bloodchief's Thirst. You get to 3 mana Skyclave Apparition, get rid of non-land permanent, attack or block with it until it leaves the field. And for 1 mana, get rid of that token, and you don't get the card back. It's a perma exile. When you take my cards and don't give them back, and I mean give them back by returning to the field like Brutal Cathar, that is when I start to hate creatures like this, cards like this. But instead I get a stupid creature token instead of my planeswalker or whatever, and I don't know how else to put it, but you just removed something that was 4 CMC or less. Once again, these cards are just cards I'm happy to see leave the format. I'm not advocating for a ban. Not that I would want a ban when they came out. It's just, why were they printed? I hate them so much, and I abused some of these cards. Goldspan and Essicus, I'm still using in Standard. They're really good cards. Once again, in my opinion, they're not overpowered, broken, or meta-defining. Just seeing them makes me super salty. But let me know what gave you the most salt or made you rage quit in certain games. You know, your opponent top decking a Goldspan, just getting further ahead with Deli disputes. In the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video, and thank you for watching. Have a nice day.